Thank you, Chairman and Secretary Noem. I'm glad that you finally made it here. I know you're busy using our tax dollars to trample on the Constitution, to enrich yourself, and to cosplay as law enforcement for your camera crew. We've seen it. You've led the campaign of terror by masked armed criminals in my district in Chicagoland. And around the country, you celebrate the murder of American citizens with the same enthusiasm that you showed when you killed your own puppy. You symbolize the cruelty, corruption, and incompetence of this administration and the Republican go-alongs. Your thugs at DHS brutalize the American people, and you lie and smear victims to cover up these crimes. Let's talk about two examples in my district. On September 12th, an ICE agent murdered Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, who had just dropped off his kids at school as he tried to leave a traffic stop. I said the officer sustained, quote unquote, severe injuries. Sitting there here under oath, do you stand by the claim that the officer was severely injured, yes or no?
I don't know the case you're speaking to specifically.
The whole country knows and you don't know. Let's play the clip of the agent talking about his injuries.
That's the injury and some lacerations to his hands. Nothing major.
What you just heard was the agent himself describing his injuries as, quote unquote, nothing major, which means your agency lied to cover up the unjustified murder of Silverio by an ICE agent. Let's talk about Marimar Martinez, a U.S. citizen who was shot 5 times by Border Patrol agent Charles Exum. You were asked about Marimar at yesterday's Senate hearing, and you should be familiar with the case by now. DHS has repeatedly said that Marimar was a quote-unquote domestic terrorist who, quote-unquote, rammed federal agents with her vehicle. Sitting here under oath, do you stand by these claims, yes or no?
Congressman, we've seen a 3,000% increase in.
Do you stand by the claims? You've had an opportunity to look into the case, yes or no?
We have a changing situation on the ground all
yes
the time.
Yes or no? You're familiar with the case. It was brought up yesterday.
I'm familiar with the case.
Let's play the clip and see what we see as evidence.
All right, it's time to get aggressive, get the out, because they're trying to box us in.
Watch out. We're gonna make contact and we're boxed in.
We are boxed in.
All right, they're fine now. All right, out of the car.
Be advised, we've been struck, we've been struck. Don't you move.
The 5 shots that you heard against a U.S. citizen. So the agent said they were going to make contact, rammed their vehicle into Marimar's, immediately lied about it, and then shot her in cold blood. And then DOJ dismissed all charges against her. I wonder why. So once again, DHS lied to cover up its crimes. And this morning, you took back to social media, DHS continued to double down on her and lied again. Let me be clear. You are a disgrace to this nation, and you should resign or face impeachment. And every crime, including the murder of Silverio Villegas Gonzalez and of Marimar, must be fully investigated and prosecuted. But while you are, to borrow a phrase, the worst of DHS secretaries, the agency has been rogue and lawless since its inception in 2002. It was set up to expand surveillance and undermine civil rights by falsely labeling immigrants and protesters as terrorists, as we just saw. That's exactly what it's doing and exactly why DHS must be dismantled and the immigration system must be rebuilt from the bottom up. That's why Americans all over believe that this agency has gone too far. Mr. Chairman, before I yield back, I request unanimous consent to submit for the record this Fox interview article dated February 5th, 2026, entitled "More than half the voters think that DHS Secretary Kristi Noem should be removed."
What you just watched wasn't just a heated exchange. It was a window into a much bigger argument about power, accountability, and the limits of federal authority in the United States. When Chuy Garcia confronted Kristi Noem, the tone may have felt explosive, but the substance underneath it is what really matters. At the core of Garcia's line of questioning is a fundamental issue: how much trust should the public place in federal law enforcement agencies when incidents involving force lead to conflicting narratives? In both cases he referenced, his strategy wasn't just to accuse, it was to contrast official statements with reported evidence. That's an important distinction. In congressional oversight, lawmakers are not prosecutors, but they are investigators of public trust. Their job is to test whether the version of events presented by agencies like the Department of Homeland Security holds up under scrutiny.